Okay, so yeah, I haven't read Justice League, the DC Rebirth run of Justice League in a long time, in about a month or so. Ever since I went on my trip and I've been back, I've been uploading videos nonstop, trying to fulfill the contents that I've missed. I haven't done any new trailers lately, and I've been missing out on that. But there is Justice League going on, and there is a whole bunch of other comic books, and that's what I've been trying to fulfill for you guys. Just bringing up comic book contents, catch up on that, and then later on down the line, like October, I'll be filling up on the Flash stuff, and that's where things are gonna get highly packed because we have the Flash in October, we have Supernatural in October, we have Supergirl in October, we have Stranger Things in October. Most of the things are coming out in October, so October is where I'll be heavily packed on videos. They might be coming late, maybe a day or so late, but this is just a forward warning. So yeah. Like I said, I haven't been reading a lot of comic books. I've only been specifying on the main things like The Flash, Dark Knight's Metal, which by the way is going very great. And yeah, Scott Snyder is doing a very good job with Dark Knight's Metal. So last night I decided to catch up on the things I missed in Justice League, and holy, oh my goodness, I missed out on a lot, guys. There is a buttload of things I missed out on. I mean, okay, so this is how the comic book industry usually works in. There is different types of scenarios where you're being brought into. Some writers especially specializes in bringing fan service. Some writers specialize in bringing plot twists and such, like Jeff Johns. And Jeff Johns is usually one of those writers who's good at inputting new ideas like new gods and such and things like that. While as Scott Snyder is very good at bringing plot twists and so on. Different writers have different specialities. But I'm not sure who the writer is for this video. I will just let it scroll up and you will see the writer for the video. Well, for the comic, but yeah. This writer I feel like specializes in deep story content, you know, like side stories. These stories don't have this particular time slot. They're not inserted in before Crisis, after Crisis, or any of that stuff. They're inserted in some time during one of the Justice League encounters. That's all you need to know, and that's really satisfying because you don't really need to know with this particular story. So here's where things go out of hand. When you're making a story that has no specific time slot, you still have to go in with the rules. Like in Aquaman, in his comic book series, he's not Aquaman anymore, he's not King of Atlantis. So now let's say if Batman wanted to, let's say in the Batman Detective Comics, and you wanted to use Aquaman, you have to go with that specific rule that says, hey, he's not Aquaman anymore. So in that series, you would have to see him as maybe a rogue guy or something. So yeah, that's where Justice League comes in. Justice League notices that, hey, he's not Aquaman anymore, so Mera has taken her place. So I guess you could call her Aqua Woman, but they haven't really specified on that. They just call her Mera, and she's with the Justice League right now. So the Justice League roster has just increased by one more person. So let me get on to the story. So Justice League issue 26, I believe that's where it starts off with this new storyline called Legacy, and basically it's about the Justice League's children. I know you're all surprised, you're all wondering like, what do you mean children? They already have children. We have Superman with John and he's married to Lois. We have Batman who has Damian, and so on and so forth. We don't have a kid for any of the other Justice League members, but you already get the idea of it. So basically, what this entitles in, I feel like this is more of a fan service. I feel like the writer for this comic decided to bring on the fan service, decided to fulfill fans' mind. Now what I mean by that is, every time you're a franchise of a specific series, you really have things that you're really excited to see. Like, if you're a franchise of the Superman series, you want to see what his child would look like. If you're a fan of Nightwing series, you wonder, hey, if he went along and married Batgirl, what would your child be like? You always have that deep inner thought, and that's really what this entitles in. That's really what this focuses on. It really magnifies towards that idea. So what we get here is, we have these children who are stranded out in the area. Yeah, we have these children here who are stranded out in this post-apocalyptic world, and they are facing what we call the Sovereign. Now, we're not sure who the Sovereign is. We just show that it's this woman in this costume, and she seems to know a lot about the Justice League and a lot about these people. So basically what happens is they're trying to attack her, these 5 kids, and you notice a lot of strange things about them. They're not the Justice League. You can tell they're not the Justice League, but they have so many similarities. 2 of them seem to have ability to create light constructs. One of them seems to have the Flash's speed. One of them seems to have super strength, but we haven't seen him fly yet. And this girl right here seems to have she seems to be part of Atlantis. She seems to be a royal bloodline due to the armor and things she's wearing. And him, obviously, you know he's going to be Cyborg's child because he has a whole bunch of wiring, and they nickname him Cube. So now we go down to the deep bases. So we find out that these guys are trying to infiltrate and trying to defeat this Sovereign. Supposedly the Sovereign caused this whole big post-apocalyptic world, and they're trying to defeat him. On their way to try to defeat him, they meet Aquaman. Aquaman isn't Aquaman anymore, like I said, but this is a very strange Aquaman. I think this Aquaman never came back to the throne and went on being a rogue guy. So this Aquaman is using the body of Cyborg to stay alive. That's what Hunter, the guy who has super strength, emphasizes on. He says that he's not even Aquaman anymore. He's using this body to try to stay alive. And we also find out that this girl, who seems to be a royal bloodline of Atlantean, is the daughter of Mira and Aquaman. So this is her father. Her father is not really a good person in this story. Doesn't seem to showcase him as a good person whatsoever. So what we get with this is, while they're trying to attack the Sovereign, so what we get with this story is, while they're trying to attack the Sovereign, Aquaman comes in. Let's just call him Arthur for this story purpose, since he's not Aquaman, you know, out of respect. So Arthur comes in and stops them and try to interrogate them and try to stop them, and basically gets in the way. He's a major obstacle for them. They manage to stop him, but this guy is just taking them on downtown and just destroying them. He's bringing them 6 feet underground. And I'm pretty sure he's capable of doing that. I mean, this is Aquaman. A lot of people say Aquaman is just useless for talking to fish, but I think with the recent Justice League movie coming out, I think people are going to be enlightened on how much capable Aquaman is. This guy is able to take on the Justice League if he wanted to. He has the entire 75% of the world at his side. And yeah, now he's taking on these little kids, and he's having no problems at all. He's just taking them on, beating them one by one easily. And these kids managed to at least slow him down, to at least stall him. But we also find out that he has a Dark Lantern ring. Now this is really weird, because I'm not very up to date with everything on DC Rebirth, but I'm most up to date with, let's say, 80% of them, and I haven't seen the Dark Lantern rings be mentioned yet. So this is very strange that he actually has a Dark Lantern ring, and he's using that to try to intercept them. Now this girl right here, she knows Atlantean magic. So with that, she's able to evade him, and she takes the crew and they go towards inside the center of Sovereign's hideout. So while they're at Sovereign's hideout, they meet this time machine, time displacement device, and they try to activate it. In the midst of trying to activate it, the Sovereign comes in and tries to encounter them, and they manage to try to console him, but the Sovereign is just destroying them piece by piece easily, and let me be specific, she keeps elaborating and talking about, hey, I know you guys' weak points, I know your specific storylines. So the Sovereign seems to be someone very close to them. Now the Sovereign attacks them and is taking them on very easily, but they're able to stall the Sovereign long enough to activate this time displacing device, and once they activate it, they go inside it, and this is where the whole scenery changes. We get back to the present, where the Justice League just came into a scene that just got destroyed. A whole city or a whole island just got completely decimated by what seems to be people with superpowers. So Cyborg uses his energy signatures and scan around, and he seems to boil down to the fact that he just uses his detective skills and finds out that whatever caused this seems to be people with superpowers. So maybe these people, maybe whoever was living in this area, all had superpowers and just seemed to destroy each other. That seems to be the basis of what everybody's coming to. Wonder Woman is not very happy about this, because Wonder Woman, her origin is she wanted to come to the mainland. She left Themyscira, the Amazons, to come to the mainland to stop this specific thing, to stop wars. Yes, they go day to day going on stopping alien invasion and things like that, but what boils down to it is, how good can humanity take care of themselves? Because these heroes will not be there forever. These heroes, once they leave, let's say they only live 50 years. After 50 years, they stop mostly big major alien invasions and things like that. But what happens when humanity does not learn from its mistakes? What happens when there's another world war and these guys are not around? This is what they're trying to do. Superman is trying to lead by example, and that's what he keeps telling them. Then it brings this into idea, Cyborg brings into the idea that, hey, maybe we should try to enforce our rule into them and try to say, don't do this, don't do that. And Superman is really the moral compass of this whole story. He tells them that no, that's not how we lead by. We lead by example. We try to elaborate on things, and I really like this. This story goes into the basic background of things. It really boils down to the actual characters of the different Justice League members. Now, the time displays device that I talked about earlier on launches them right in front of the Justice League members, and the Justice League members are all surprised. But the thing is, the Flash is very experienced with sensing things in the time displacement, time skips, time travels, and so on. So he knows what's going on. He sees that this is something about the time stream. So he just tells everyone, calm down, this is something about the time stream. And suddenly these kids fall down the time stream. And the first person to get up is this girl with a speed force. She goes up and say, hey, we are your children from the future. Now this is very, very funny right here, guys. So this is really funny. I expected that from her too. This girl has a speed force, and usually everyone we've seen with a speed force is usually high on jitters. They're very quick to impulses and things like that. And that's really what she does. I mean, personally speaking, you don't just go up to someone meeting them for the first time and say, hey, I'm your child from the future, and I know you don't know this, but I'm your child. You gotta accept it no matter what. Now, this is really weird right here. The Flash, he's over there trying to process things. He processes things at super speed, and he's like, okay, so what's going on? And she's just going on telling them the story, and everybody else is just trying to find their footing. This girl is already way miles ahead of them. We later on see that they've been transported to the watchtower for them to, and for Cyborg to analyze their DNA, their tissues, and their molecular status and their powers to see if they really are children's. Now these kids seems to be very familiar with the Justice League hideout, the Justice League watchtower. They start to emphasize on the fact that they used to play there when they were little and they used to hang about, but it's been so long since they've done that. Now Cyborg comes down with the basis and says that yes, they are their children's, they have their DNAs and their exact match. Now Jessica Cruz is wondering, how could these be my children's? I mean, Jessica Cruz has a lot of things going on with her life, and she doesn't expect to be having children's anytime soon. But these kids seem to be her children's, and there's data to prove this. So she's over there wondering, how could these guys be her children's? And these guys, one of them is a girl. Well, two of them are girls, two girls, one boy. So the girl with the light construct ability comes up to her, and she is just emotionally downturned. She's just emotionally depressed, and she goes up to Jessica Cruz and just hugs her and say, it's been a long time since I've seen your mother. She's just missing that motherly bond, and you can understand that from her. Now everybody else is saying, hey, calm down. We understand that you miss your parents, and we see that we're your parents, so we're gonna try to settle things and try to elaborate on things. Meanwhile, Cyborg talks to this guy with the wire, and he says, so you're my child. And the guy is like, well, yeah, when I was born with the mother box infused into me. Some of its properties were infused into my first cells, and this is how I came up. They call me Cube due to the mother box, and I really like the idea. So Cyborg talks to him and say, hey, do you like football? And he says yes, but it kind of gets boring when you can measure out every shot, measure out every precision and things like that. And he says, well, you should use that in gambling. And that's interesting right there. I've never seen Cyborg actually give fatherly advice to his child. This is a really good scenario because we get to see the parent aspect of the Justice League. So now the child is like, are you telling me to go into gambling? And this is very interesting right here. I'm really liking this. It's like taking your kid out to a baseball game and saying, hey, you need to learn how to catch and stuff like that. So then we boil down towards this girl with the speed force. She says, hey, Jessica is my daughter. And Flash is like, well, you have super speed, so could this mean that? And she just goes ahead and stops him there and say, yes, you're my father, and you get involved with Jessica Cruz, and you are our parent. Now Flash is just there like, okay, so what do I do now? What am I going to tell Iris? And that's where we get surprised. Now, with things going on, there was this fan conspiracy going on, whereas people were wondering, who is this fifth child? Who is he with? This fifth child's name is Hunter, and they call him Baby. So this fifth child seems to be a very bulky guy. He seems to have Superman's complexion, but yet again, he has the Wonder Woman crescent. So everybody was wondering, well, did Superman just cheat on Lois Lane and go on with Wonder Woman? And that's what we get elaborated on. This guy says, hey, you're my mom, but you have no business being my mom. And Wonder Woman is like, what do you mean I have no business being my mom? He says that since he was born, since he was little, Wonder Woman just flat out rejected him, just flat out did not want him or accepted him whatsoever because he was a boy. And Wonder Woman is surprised by this fact that, wow, did I really do this? And there's every proof to show that she did do this. So she's just self-involved and self-reflecting onto this, at how could she be such a bad mother in the future. Now we also get to the point where Superman goes out and say, hey son, and it's completely understandable why Superman would say hey son, because this kid is wearing Superman's cape, and he seems to be wearing it in a different fashion Superman wears it, but he's wearing Superman's cape. So Superman goes up to him, hey son, just go easy on Wonder Woman right here. Now he goes up and says, son, well yeah, you have always treated me as a son, But John always kind of looked at me as that one little annoying little brother, and Superman is just surprised. Wait, you know John? And then we get elaborated on the whole storyline. So after Wonder Woman flat out rejected this kid, Superman took him in, and he was a big problem for Lois Lane and Superman because it was like taking care of a whole new John. So Superman took him in, and he was like a little brother to John, and every time he would be that one little kid who's messing with your older sibling. You know how when you're an older sibling, you don't want the little siblings to mess with your things, mess with your iPod, your iPhones. Now this kid is like, hey Damien, hey John, hey Damien, can I just join your Super Sons? Can I be part of you guys? And they were like, nah, you're a little kid, you can't be joining in our big adult stuff. And I really like that whole concept. This is bringing up a whole new fresh story. It almost makes the Justice League seem human, you know? Yeah. So Superman goes on to say, wow, I understand that this is usually how older siblings act. So I guess you could count this guy as part of the Superman family, but deep down to genetics, he's actually an Amazonian. So yeah. Now I'm still wondering who is the father, because it doesn't seem to be Superman to be the father. So maybe Batman. I mean, we never really know. They don't really emphasize on that. So yeah, I mean, things just go on pretty smoothly from there. The Justice League members decide that, hey, we're gonna bring these guys to our respective homes and gonna introduce them to our family and things like that. And things just go on from there. And then after that, they're gonna try to focus on how exactly these kids got there and how can they solve their problems and help them out. But yeah, and then we also boil down to the Batcave, because Batman is not a Justice League watchtower. He doesn't know about any of this. Batman is trying to solve his own mystery, and towards the Batcave, we see that Aquaman, well, Arthur, just comes in. The future Arthur comes in, puts a smoke bomb, and takes down Batman, no problem. And I mean, he's from the future, so I'm pretty sure he knows what Batman would be doing. So he takes down Batman, no problem, and Batman is just surprised. Aquaman, you there? And he just knocks out Batman. Now, temporarily, this goes on to the fact that if Batman wasn't prepared for anything, he would be taken out easily, and that's just how things are. Once you really boil down to it, someone with super strength, someone who's a tactician, just like Aquaman, could easily take Batman down if Batman didn't have prep time. Yeah, basically. So that's really all there is to this story. There's not really much to it. Now, I'm not sure about what time this story takes place. It doesn't have a specific time, and I think I'm okay with that. I don't mind it. This story was a little bit more of a fan service. It is going to be a whole arc, and I really enjoyed this story. I really liked it. Whoever wrote it, I'm not sure who wrote it, but credit to them, and credit to the artist for doing such wonderful art. I really hope you guys enjoy this content that I'm doing while I'm supplying you guys with the updates on comic books and things like that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Oh, and further thought, this is my own personal opinion, but I don't think this is going to stay into canon, because these kids came back from the future, and now they tell Wonder Woman that she's a bad mother in the future. So maybe Wonder Woman will become a better mother in the future, and the whole future will be reset. I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I really wish these kids would be in canon. But I really have a bad feeling DC is not going to keep them in canon. If it does, great job, DC. Kudos to you. If you don't, I can't blame you for this. You have other storylines to focus on. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned, like, subscribe, keep on following my content. Click the bell button if you want to get updated on every new video I do. I will be bringing some interesting content on and on, and the other Bright hosts will be bringing on content. Joe Radical recently brought up a video, so he's going to be back on track with things. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Stay classy.
Forgive me for my wrongs, I have just begun.